Do we need to do a roll call?
Yes, I'll do that. The Audit Committee meeting for February 2nd, 2026 is now called to order at 4:34 p.m. Roll call of members. Dr. T.
Present.
Amy Bolge.
Here.
Dr. Karen Collins Adams. If you're speaking, you're muted. We don't hear you.
Trying to unmute. Here.
And Alyssa Foster.
Present, but Dr. Hubbard, you could just say AJ Foster.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
AJ Foster. All members are present and accounted for. Should I call the names of the non-voting members as well?
I don't think we need to do that.
Okay.
So, approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve our previous audit committee open session minutes.
I'll second.
There was a motion to approve the open session minutes by board member AJ Foster and second by Amy Bolge. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Dr. T.
Yes.
Amy Bolge.
Yes.
Dr. Karen Collins Adams.
Yes.
AJ Foster.
Yes.
Motion to accept the minutes from the last open session meeting on December 1st is approved. Do you want me to tell you what's next on the agenda, Dr. T, or do you have the
appointment
agenda?
of committee secretary is what I see here.
Correct.
So who put that on the agenda? The person should talk about the issue.
Well, I wrote the agenda, but based on a conversation you and I had, I believe you want me to be the secretary.
I think that makes, sounds logical because you are a major part of the audit function. So you can be a secretary and non-voting member of the committee.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dr. Katrina Hubbard as the committee secretary for the audit committee.
Seconded.
It's been moved by AJ Foster and second by Dr. T that Dr. Katrina Hubbard be the secretary of the audit committee. Any questions? Seeing none. Dr. T.
Yes.
Amy Bolge.
Yes.
Dr. Karen Collins Adams.
Yes.
AJ Foster.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item on the agenda is the risk questionnaire discussion or review.
So, do you mind if I talk about this?
Feel free. Go ahead.
Okay, so I forwarded a copy of risk questionnaires to the board member, not the board members, to the audit committee members for your review. The risk questionnaires are meant to gauge what the leadership of the district feels are items of risk or that we should pay attention to in our audit function. There is a version for the cabinet members, and there is a version for the actual board members. It's my understanding that we're only moving forward with the version for the cabinet members. So I was interested to know if there were any edits other than the ones that Dr. T forwarded me by email, which everyone was copied on. And those edits were to add a column of degree of risk, high, medium, low, and to, well, the other edit was for the board member version, which we are not using at this point. So are there any other comments on the cabinet version of the risk questionnaire?
I have a question. What, could you clearly explain the purpose it would serve to do a questionnaire with the Dr. Berry's cabinet?
The risk questionnaires are an established protocol in order to develop a risk matrix, which basically it gives you the ability to develop a quantitative scale of where the risks are in the district, so that when the audit plan is developed for the ensuing year, we would look at the higher risk items first before we look at the low risk items. So that's what the risk questionnaire is, just one aspect of the scoring system for a risk matrix. So that's why those are developed and sent out. And who better to know what risks their areas have than the cabinet members?
Dr. Berry, they're your cabinet members. You selected them.
Yes, ma'am. So I did get a chance to speak to Dr. Henning regarding the risk survey. And I know that Dr. Hubbard and I had also spoke briefly earlier prior to the information going out. And so I do think this will be a good way for the team to actually see what's happening in their departments, and then for us to come back and to talk about where we are. It was said to me that this document would not be I got you. It was for the departments to look at complete, and then we were working with Dr. Hubbard to see where the areas are. Not that we were working with Dr. Hubbard. It was then brought back to the audit committee saying, these are all the areas that's a problem, and then creating a whole process for it. I thought it was strictly internal to make sure, and of course, to be shared with you, that's no issue. But not I got you, more so of this is going to help you and where the areas are and see how we can fix them.
Yeah,
What's the timeline?
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
The timeline?
The idea is I work backwards from when I would want to present an audit plan to the audit committee for then presentation to the board. The school year starts July 1. So then I would want to present the audit plan for next year for fiscal year 27 to the audit committee during the May audit committee meeting. And then the risk questionnaire would need to be received from leadership by the end of March at the absolute latest. Because again, that's only one aspect of how the scoring for the risk matrix is developed. The risk matrix looks at any recent audits that we've had, external and internal audits. It looks at anything that DESE has stated, if there's been anything. And you're right, Dr. Berry, the risk questionnaires are not a gotcha. They're not an audit. It's the opinion of the leaders as to what they feel are potential areas that we should focus on based on their knowledge of their area.
And also, I'd like to say a few words about that. I appreciate Dr. Berry being open to say that they are not eager to see a gotcha situation. And I want to reemphasize that the purpose of audit is not gotcha. Any auditor that's using gotcha mentality must have been an outdated mentality. When you're an auditor, you are part of, the management of the organization, and you're trying to make the organization the best that it could be. Some of the benefits that will come from this risk questionnaire is the fact that it's going to focus the officers and the executives on what to do to be the best. It should be welcome because it will give them the opportunity to have 2020, to look at things forward and backward and be able to say, yeah, this is an area we need to pay attention to. So that's one thing I would like to say about that. And anytime we do our audits, we should be very happy when you discover something that's going to need attention. It's best for us to discover it in-house than for somebody outside to come and discover it. And maybe at this point, I should have, appeal to Dr. Hubbard. When you do a section and you don't find any serious finding, please acknowledge them and let them know that you appreciate goodness in their performance. So that way they will see you more positive than the gotcha. So that's my comments on that.
Agreed. Another thing that the risk questionnaire is able to do is draw attention to a way of thinking about risk that each individual leader may not have that risk perspective. And so it helps enlighten them as to a way of looking at their department, their teams, and just saying, oh yeah, okay, yes, we need to think about this, and that from that perspective. So it's meant to help the leadership.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or corrections or changes, edits that are suggested for the questionnaire?
One thing I'm thinking about is the section that has them identify their top 3 important objectives or goals for their department. I'm wondering if that should be something that's already pre-filled and populated by Dr. Berry, so they have a clear direction on like, hey, we don't want you to fill this out or complete this if those goals or objectives aren't aligned, right? And so I'm wondering if there's a little bit of pre-work on the front end that the cabinet or again, Dr. Berry could provide in order to make sure that we do hit a March target. Because I suspect that a lot of things that will come up will be things that we just received in our last audit that we just submitted. And so maybe it's a way to kind of strategically think about what those opportunities are, to not recreate any work, because we know the spring is really busy. So that's one consideration I'm thinking about.
Well, I know the strategic focus of the district is definitely under our superintendent's purview. But as far as how each department aids in meeting those strategies, I don't know if, and I'll let Dr. Berry chime in on this, I don't know if that's something that she feels she should do or if that's something that her leaders should do.
Yeah, so I would certainly work with the leaders, but I do give guidance on what our focus is. For instance, we talk about like right now, like the core 4, right? And so certainly there are things when I'm working with the cabinet that we talk about to say, hey, we really want to focus on this area. And then from this area, what are some things that we're seeing? I'll just be transparent, like Kelly and I were talking about in the finance department. So I'll say to her, I know we've seen, talked about internal controls. What does that look like with internal controls that are weaknesses? And then Kelly would tell me, based off me saying internal controls, what weaknesses that she would want to put on her risk assessment. But we talk all the time. We meet weekly, so we will certainly be able to get this completed.
Thank you.
And I do plan on sending the responses that I've received in the past from cabinet members. I plan on forwarding them their responses from that they submitted before, because once we do this the first time, it's going to be a lift the first time we do this. But once we do this the first time, the subsequent times, because this is an annual process, but the subsequent times should be much easier, much less time consuming, because the leaders have already established what they feel are their priorities, and really they're just focusing on changes from last year for subsequent years. So
Dr. Berry, do you feel like that's a reasonable timeline, a realistic timeline that Dr. Hubbard's laid out?
Thank you for asking. The only angst that I have is a heavy time, especially in the finance realm, and we are getting our bearings on a few things, and we are, have the state coming up, and it's already going to be like maybe the mid-February, about a week. So I will ask if we can have maybe to April or May, and I know this is to kind of get us going. I'm hoping for next year, but I do think, especially in our finance department, there's just been so full right now that we probably do need a few more, maybe a month or so, to be able to do this correctly and not just throw something on the paper.
I would agree with that.
and I also believe that and this is again just a suggestion to make it easier for the chiefs. It would be good for like departments that have multiple teams to have like their directors take the first stab at completing it versus the chiefs trying to complete every like for instance operations has 5 or 6 areas under it, right? So they went through and the directors of each area completed it, and then they forwarded it to Chief Watson and he or JB, and then they reviewed it overall and then sent it to me after they put their stamp of approval on the entire document. I would not suggest that the chiefs try to tackle this by themselves. So even when we do start to pull it together, it's something that they should definitely lean on their directors to help them with.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think it's beneficial if the chiefs are in that space when the thinking is happening, right? So they can bounce ideas and hear what's going on. But I agree, like department directors be heavily kind of owning the project. But I would want the chiefs to be in the space to navigate those waters of making sure that we're all staying on the same task and same focus that trickles from what, our main vision is all the way throughout the departments.
So considering the leadership team and Dr. Hubbard report to Dr. Berry will set that timeline. It won't be dictated by the committee because it will interfere with what she's trying to do for the operation of the school district. So, and board members don't interfere with the operation. I don't think committee members would either. So, Dr. Berry, if you could, look at what a better timeline is, and based on the schedule that you have for your leadership team and work with Dr. T so that we, he's the committee chair for this, would be able to determine what we can actually do. Because if we do something and we don't do it the way we need to do, we're not going to get the kind of data that we need. So let's just prepare it properly and then create a timeline that's effective for all of us. Otherwise, we'll have a mess, and we don't need that right now. We're in the middle of doing a lot of things to be able to move our district forward. And, we'll talk about some of that later on.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So we agree that we need to complete the document. It's only the timing that we're trying to figure out.
Correct.
So in that case, maybe our auditor can work with Dr. Berry to agree a time. So our approval would just be to complete the document.
Yes.
Okay.
But it becomes a very, it's a sticky situation in that Dr. Hubbard also reports to Dr. Berry. So we need to be certain that, these things for the committee do not interfere with her employee responsibilities. Now, with that said, I'm going to get off this topic and let Dr. T take over his meeting.
Okay, thank you. Can we have somebody move a motion that we should adopt the risk questionnaire?
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Amy Bolgi and second by Dr. T that we move forward with the risk questionnaire for the cabinet members based on a timeline established by Dr. Berry. I added that. Sorry if that was improper. Any questions on the motion? Okay. Dr. T,
Yes.
Amy Bolgi,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams,
Yes.
AJ Foster,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Now is the time to adjourn to closed session.
So the closed session of the Audit Committee we will adjourn from open session at 4:54 p.m. and move directly into closed session pursuant to section 610-021, subsections 1, 3, and 13 of Missouri statute.
So let us be moved into the closed session, please.
Kadeem, you can stop streaming.